going to discuss some basics points of Java. As you can see, the very first topic mentioned here, identifiers in Java. Identifiers, seriously, once I took an interview for my company, one fresher guy, I asked what is identifiers in Java. He just kept quiet, completely quiet. So it's not a big thing. Let's see what is identifiers actually. Identifiers is nothing else, just it's something like a name, like a class name, variable name. For example, here a class called student, and the student have some variables called ID, student name, so if you discuss here what is identifier is. So here identifier is student. Here identifier is a ID. Here identifier is a name. So got it or not? So what is identifiers? Identifiers is nothing but simple a name of class, or you can call name of variable, name of variable, or name of a method, method name, or else you can call a label name. So these are identifiers. So identifiers have some rules. Let me save it. Yep. So identifier have some rules. What are those rules? Rules of identifiers. First is, it should be A to Z in small or also in capital. It should be 0 to 9. Or else a slash or a dollar. So here these are some rules for identifiers. So if you call a class name call, just for testing purpose, class name is 1. Is it true or false? Please guess it. It is true or false? It's a completely false. Yes, it could be 0 to 9, but identifiers never start with the number. Always remember this rule. Identifiers never start with number. Never start with numbers. Let me save it. So identifiers never start with numbers. So is the Java identifier case sensitive? Yes. So these are some rules of identifiers. Let's check. Can you identify identifier or not? Here a class have some name, student. Class has some variable, student ID. Student first name. Student age. Okay. Can you guess what is here? What is here is right and what is wrong? Student ID is a right or wrong? Yes, is it? It is right. Student ID, it is right or wrong? Guess it. Yes, it is also right. Student name, as you see, identifiers have some rule 0 to 9, right? So it's also right. Right? It's also right. No. Here you are wrong. The identifiers could not be start with the numbers. They always start with strings. Always. With the characters. This is also right. So this is wrong. So I think right now you have a clear idea about identifiers. So let's take on another topic called data type. What is data type in Java? So data types is nothing but just we write a class, right? Just I written a class name, here class name is student, just take a student, and here integer, student have ID, string, student have name. So what is data type? Data type is a identifier which kind of data we are going to store, which kind of data, like ID. ID, it always should be a numeric number, right? Like 0, 1, 5, 6. That's why we taken a type is as an integer type. As an integer type. Name is not like that. We had a name of 02. Caddy number 02. No. So name always be string. A name should be like my name is Adi. So name always should be string. So these are data types. if you concentrate, int is a data type, string is a data type. So in Java, multiple type data types called primitive data types. Primitive data types. And primitive data types is two type. First is Boolean and the numbers. The Boolean type something true and false type. And numbers type have a multiple data types like integer, like floating point and character. So integer have a four type of data type: byte, short, int and long. These are all type of like 01, 02, 03, 04. So why Java libraries divided them in multiple type, in byte, in short, in int and long? There is a reason behind it. Let's have a look. What is the reason? Suppose a byte type of data, we have to store a data with the maximum value 127. Actually, they learn something from C++. In C++ and C, there is lots of memory wastage. If you remember C, we use pointers in C and we use itself to organize memory. In C++ and C also. But in Java, we thought that if a user have a little bit data, why should I give him lots of memory? Memory wastage, right? So they divided the data type in four type. So as you required, as your requirement, just take your based on your requirement, just take a data type. So it's less memory. Always remember in programming word, less memory double equal to great performance. If your application is taking very less memory, you are getting very good performance for that. So that's why they illustrated it. You can see they illustrated integer type in four type, and floating point also they illustrated in float and double, and character and char. There is a primitive data types are four types. Just recap it: byte, short, int and long, float and double and char. Byte, short, int and long, float, double and char. Please memorize this guide. It's a very common thing. You have to use very multiple times. Byte, short, int and long, float, double, char. These 8 primitive types in Java. Java support these 8 primitive types. And non-primitive types. Non-primitive types variable you can see: string, array, and there is more also in more like instance type, local instance type, this type also. So we seen the primitive data types. Now we'll see one more topic is called literals. So what is literal? as you seen initially, I showed a class to you, a class which name is student, which have body, int, id. So here a constant value, like here I am going to declare id. Okay, I want to declare the id. Student int id equal to 10. This is called literal. So what is the literal definition? This value is not going to change. This value is not going to change. It's a constant. You cannot change that value. So the definition of the literal is a constant value that cannot be a constant value can be assigned to the variable is called literals. So we come up with one definition of literal. What is literal? A value which is assigned and that cannot be changed. It's called a literals. So guys, if you like the video and if you like my content, please do subscribe and share it to your friends. I'm going to cover everything related to J2SE, means Java 2 standardization, what is so-called core Java. So please do like and subscribe. Right now I'm going to show you. So let's recap everything what we just learned today. Sorry, yeah. Okay, just give me a few minutes. So let's recap everything. Firstly, we know what is identifier. Identifier nothing but the name of the class, name of variable, method name, label name. These are called identifiers. And then rules of identifiers we see. Identifier should be small a to small z any character, capital A to capital Z any character, 0 to 9 any character. It should be dash also, it should be dollar also. We've seen one interesting point. Is the identifier should be start from number? No, never. Identifiers never start with numbers. So again we see here this identifier is right or wrong. Yes is wrong, yes is right, and this is wrong because it starts with the number. Okay, now we again say what is literals. We see in primitive data types, 8 types, as you know, in short, long, byte short, int long, float double, and one more call. Oh, just forget it. So, primitive data types are 8 types, byte short, int long, short and double, boolean, and char. These 8 type primitive data types. Then we see literals. What is literals? Literal is a constant value, cannot be assigned to variable, is called literals. Like int id is equal to 10. This value is not going to change. It's a constant value. Wherever you call int id right now, it's not going to change again. It's a completely constant value. Is not going to change anyhow. Is a constant. So any value which is constant called literals.